Hello again, everyone. Welcome to Washington Gun Law TV. I'm Washington Gun Law President William Kirk. Thanks for joining us. So, Washington, here's what we're going to do. We're going to head back on down to Olympia because we are in the middle of a legislative session, which is about to turn into yet another bloodbath as to what's ever left of our Second Amendment rights. Now, we've already done a bunch of videos about a bunch of bad legislation coming from a bunch of bad legislators, but this time we're going to take a very unique approach. In fact, it's going to be one of the few times that we're going to actually do this here at Washington Gun Law. We're actually going to talk about a piece of legislation that makes a lot of sense, would make a huge difference in our community, would absolutely probably save lives, and for all of those reasons, probably never has a snowball's chance in hell of ever seeing the light of day. Ultimately, when you see this bill, what we're going to really use to show here is that we're going to show that proof that those in Olympia don't want to save lives. Okay, before we get going too far down the road we're going down, proud to announce that this video is being brought to you by the conservative ladies of Washington as well as Washington Gun Law. Why is that? Well, on Saturday, February 3rd from 6 to 7 p.m., Conservative Ladies of Washington, WGL, we're going to be doing a live event from Security Gun Club. Now, this will be a live YouTube event. It'll be streamed live to YouTube, but we're asking all of you to come on down to the Gun Club and join us as a live audience. Listen, we got Dan Mitchell from Sporting Systems that's going to join us, talk about some of the legislative stuff, and we got Senator Linda Wilson from the Vancouver area, who's going to be subject to part of this video here in a little bit. She'll be joining us as well as a member of law enforcement. So I'm asking all of you, come on by Security Gun Club Saturday, February 3rd from 6 to 7. Be part of the audience, and when we're done, we're all going to head over to a little local watering hole. We'll have another hour of our happy hour, have a couple adult beverages, and we can all geek out on this stuff together. So I hope to see all of you Saturday, February 3rd, 6 o'clock, Security Gun Club in Woodinville. Okay, so what we're talking about, Washington, is Senate Bill 5049. It has a multitude of sponsors, but the main sponsor is Senator Linda Wilson from the Vancouver area, who I am a huge fan of. If they ever come up with state legislature trading cards, I would love to have an original Linda Wilson. She's a fantastic legislator. I know her personally. I like her a great deal. And here's one of the reasons I like Senator Wilson is she's kind of a no-nonsense kind of politician, and she's actually written a law that might actually make our community safer. Let me tell you what I'm talking about. You see, if you go back and you look at these stats for yourself, these aren't my stats. You can look them up for yourself. United States Department of Justice, we did this video on this about a year and a half ago now. We find out that 88.8% of all gun crimes that are committed nationwide are committed by an individual who, at the time of the commission of the crime, is unlawfully possessing a firearm. Do we have gun violence problems in our communities? We certainly have violence problems, and yes, firearms are frequently used there. However, do we honestly think it's the people walking into the Cabela's and the Bass Pro Shops and the security gun clubs and the sporting systems and filling out their 4473s that are out there committing the crimes? Absolutely not. We know that literally 9 out of 10 guns used in gun crimes are being unlawfully possessed at the time the crime is being committed. So knowing that very identifiable demographic group, one would think that your legislature would write laws to, actually go after that group. But no. The Liz Berrys of the world say they don't want to do that. They just want to disarm you, the lawful and responsible gun-owning Washington resident. Well, fortunately, we still have some legislators like Senator Linda Wilson who actually has said, hey, you know what? These stolen firearms are being used all the time in the commission of crimes, property crimes, violent crimes, whatever, and we need to do something about it. And I applaud the senator for attempting it. Let me explain to you how this bill would work. The bill reads as follows. Section 1, a new section is added to Chapter 9A.56 of the RCW to read as follows. 1. A person is guilty of theft of a firearm from a residence, store, shop, sales outlet, or vehicle if he or she commits a theft of any firearm from a residence, store, shop, or sales outlet where firearms are sold, or from any vehicle. So, Senator Wilson is going after one of the largest contributors to our gun violence problem, which is people improperly and unlawfully accessing firearms. The bill also reads, this section applies regardless of the value of the firearm taken in the theft. And that's important because typically in Washington state, the level of theft, theft 3, theft 2, theft 1, is going to be based upon the value of the item that was taken. This does away with that. The legislation also would state, each firearm taken in the theft under this section is a separate offense. And then finally, and this is what I really applaud in the legislation, theft of a firearm from a residence, store, shop, sales outlet, or vehicle is a Class B felony. Okay, I think that this is fantastic legislation. You, as lawful and responsible gun-owning Washington residents, also think it's a fantastic piece of legislation. As a matter of fact, if we wanted to write some additional legislation, I think we should add criminal enhancement penalties to violent crimes that are committed with the use of a stolen firearm or committed by a person who is unlawfully possessing the firearm at the time that the crime is committed. All of these make sense, right? Of course it does, except you know who it doesn't make any sense to? Yeah, it doesn't make any sense to the gun grabbing left down in Olympia, because you see, this isn't a bill that was introduced just this year. No, this is a carryover bill from 2023. As a matter of fact, this bill was pre-filed December 15th of 2022, and it was first introduced to the floor on January 9th of 2013. And you can look it up for yourself. We'll link it up down for you below. But guess what? This bill has not even received a committee hearing. It has not even been given the slightest inkling of a pulse. Now, it was reintroduced again by Senator Wilson on January 8th at the commencement of the 2024 session. Again, this bill still makes sense as much today as it did a year ago. But do you think that anybody in the Democratically controlled Senate or Democratic controlled House is going to let this bill ever see the light of day? Hell no. And that's the point I'm trying to make. You see, these bills that your legislature keeps passing ad nauseum has nothing to do with making your community safer. It has nothing to do with improving the quality of our lives. And it has nothing to do with holding criminals accountable. It has everything to do with just disarming you, the lawful and responsible gun owner. So I applaud Senator Wilson, and I encourage the Liz Berrys of the world, the Kathy Curterers of the world, the Strom Petersons of the world. Why don't you just take a look at the data? We can identify where gun violence comes from. We can identify the causes of gun violence. And with that, we can actually pass legislation to address that problem if the safety and the lives of the citizens of Washington State truly mattered to you. The bill again is Senate Bill 5049. We'll link it up down below so you can geek out on it for yourself. It is sponsored by my favorite senator, Senator Linda Wilson, who will be joining us February 3rd at Security Gun Club. If you got any other questions about this or anything else related to what's left of our Second Amendment rights, you guys should know how to get a hold of Washington Gun Law by now. If you don't, that's okay. That information is also down there in the description box. Now, in the meantime, let's remember that part of being the lawful and responsible gun owner, like we talk about all the time here, is to know what the law is in every situation, how it applies to you in any instance that you may find yourself. Until next time, thanks for watching, and stay safe.